Hello, dear students. I welcome you all on behalf of Sri Jayendra Rangjun classes. Dear student, we are studying or we are in a continuation of the chapter that is the principles of inheritance and variation. And in this today's lecture, we are going to discuss a topic that is pedigree analysis and population genetics. So we will be discussing first pedigree analysis and some of the information about the population genetics. See, we know that some disorders are there which are getting inherited in a family from one generation to the another, but if you want to trace that which disorder will be possible to come in the offspring or will inherit in the offspring or in the upcoming offspring, that will be determined by the pedigree analysis. So let's discuss first pedigree analysis. So what is this pedigree analysis? This pedigree analysis is a nothing but record of inheritance. It is a record of inheritance of certain genetic traits for two or more generations. It is a record of inheritance of certain genetic traits. Means a certain genetic trait or disorder is getting inherited for two or more generation. And when we represent or present this inheritance of this particular trait in the form of diagram or a family tree, then it is called a pedigree. Okay, so this is the pedigree. So such diagram we are going to study, we are going to understand how this show the particular this inheritance. So it is a actually a method of study of human genetic disorders. Okay. Next, if we talk about the pedigree analysis, it is the study of pedigree of a transmission of particular trait and finding the possibility or absence of a presence of that trait in a homozygous or a heterozygous state in a particular individual. So it is mainly used in case of the to study human genetic disorders. Okay. In human being, you know that like other organism also follow the principle of inheritance, but common Mendelian experiment cannot be carried out over use due to the following reasons: that control processes are not possible in human being, and the number of offspring per couple is small, and due to some of the certain region of inefficiency, inability to perform a process of control process, and a few or small number of offspring, the human genetics has to resort to slightly different method of genetic analysis. And such an analysis of trait in a several of generations of a family is nothing but a pedigree analysis. So in a pedigree analysis, the inheritance of a particular trait is represented in a family tree generation, as we know. Okay. So here it is useful for the genetic counselors as well to advise intending couples about the possibility of having the children with the genetic defects. Genetic counseling can help us to trace the particular type of genetic disorders which are going to be inherited in the offspring or in the child. And these genetic defects like hemophilia, color blindness, we can say alkaptonuria, phenylketonuria, thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, these are the recessive traits which express in the recessive form. But brachydactyly, myotonic dystrophy, polydactyly, such type of some of the disorders which are the dominant traits, which one is going to express that can be determined by this pedigree analysis. So it indicates Mendeleev's principles are also applicable to human genetics. Pedigree analysis what indicates? It indicates that Mendel principles are also applicable to human genetics, but with some modification. And later on, found out that like quantitative inheritance, sex-linked characters, and other linkages, it can be particularly inherited. Okay, so this is the same. Now to draw a family tree. Okay, to draw a family tree or a pedigree, a family tree or pedigree, if you say, is drawn up by using certain standard symbols. Standard symbols. And some of the important symbols are as follows. So if you talk about the symbolic utilization, then we come to know that if in pedigree the square is framed, the square represents a male, and that is also unaffected male. But if this is the circle, then it is unaffected female. Same way, if the symbol is like this, it is representing sex unspecified. We can't specify the sex of an individual properly. But if all this will be shown as a in a darkened state, if this the square is there, but if this square is darkened, and if this is darkened state, then it is known as affected individuals. Okay. So if we darken this symbol, then it is going to be what a particular offspring having a particular disorder. If this is square is darker, that is affected male. This is the sex unspecified, which is having a particular disorder, and this is the affected female. Like this, it can be represented. But if we want to show the marriage between the particular two parent or male and female, then this will is going to represent a mating, or we can say a marriage. But after this, the offspring can be shown by the vertical lines. So if these are the parent, and these are the offspring, then these are the parents, and these are the children's in order of birth. In order of birth from left to right. Okay, so this is the what a particularly showing. So this vertical line shows the what number of offspring. Now here, if we use this numbering, Roman numbering, this Roman numbering will showing what a particular generation it will show. But here, if we write a number, Arabic numbering, then this Arabic numbering shows the number of offspring. So Roman numbering represent generation, but this Arabic numbering represent number of offspring. Okay, so that is the thing which is observed here in this particular thing. Sometimes you will see the marriage between the relatives. That is what a meeting between relatives. This meeting between relatives is known as consanguineous meeting. Okay. Now, after this, some more numbering can be used. If offspring to the parent are shown like this, suppose this is the parent and these are the offspring, and offspring are shown like this, and they are joined by a line. Then this represent monozygotic twins. This two daughter and this two son are going to be twins, but they are developing from the single zygote. So they are known as monozygotic twins. But if the condition is like this, and they are not joined by a line, if line is not there, if line is not joining this dot offsprings or child, then it is known as dizygotic twins. They are developing from the separate zygote. Okay. Now, sometimes you will see this type of representation that half is darkened and half part is not darkened. Then this will represent a heterozygous female. Okay. And usually this symbolic representation is not used, this two symbolic representation, but sometimes you can get in a question, then it is heterozygous male. If it is a dot, then it is carrier female. This symbol represents death. This symbol represents abortion or stillbirth. Okay, so this is the some of the symbolic representations which are used. We remember this is also going to represent carrier progeny. Now, after this, if we talk about some more symbolic representation, then the one term we need to understand here, and the term is proband or propositus. This proband or propositus, if we talk, it is the individual from which pedigree is initiated. Is initiated, or the individual from which the inheritance of disorder has started. But this proband or propositus individual is, if male, then it is known as propozytic. And if it is a female, proposity or propozytus is if male. And if the starting initiating individual is female, then it is known as proposita. Okay, so this is the whole particular, we can say, the pedigree has. Now here, if you see pedigree by studying by using this all symbols, then the instance, if you will see, or the passing of character, if you will see from generation to another generation, then the genes which are present on the chromosome will be inherited in a specific pattern, and that is known as inheritance, or the genetic disorder whose pedigree can be made that shows such type of inheritance, or that disorder can be. So inheritance can be autosomal, and if it is autosomal, then it can be dominant or recessive. If it is sex-linked inheritance is shown by the pedigree, then it can either show X-linked or Y-linked. Okay. And it can be cytoplasmic inheritance, then it shows the maternal inheritance. What is cytoplasmic inheritance? We will discuss in a separate lecture. Now, if such type of disorders are going to be represented in this pedigree, or pedigree will represent this particular type of disorders, that can be either autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, X-linked dominant, X-linked recessive, Y-linked, or maternal inheritance. So what type of question you get from this particular part? One pedigree is given, you need to identify that it is showing the which type of inheritance that you need to identify. So how you will identify? So you will identify by studying the pedigree in a proper manner. So if you want to study this pedigree in proper manner, and if it is an autosomal disorder, or if it is a autosomal inheritance, then usually autosomal inheritance get equally inherited in male and female. Okay, if it is equally inherited in male and female, and in this autosomal inheritance, if it is equally expressed in male and female, means in pedigree, if you will find a circle are also darkened and square are also getting darkened, then it is possibility of autosomal inheritance. But this autosomal is of two types. One is autosomal dominant. If it is autosomal dominant, then generally it do not skip the generation. The generation. means this inheritance or this disorder type of or disorder autosomal dominant type of disorder are expressed in every generation. They are not going to skip the particular generation. Okay. So when they generally do not skip the generation, both normal parent can never have an affected child. Okay. Because if both are the normal, autosomal dominant, what happens usually? If there is a capital A and capital A small a, if genes are in a condition, then it is going to be what? A disease or affected individual. And in small a condition, it is going to be normal, unaffected individual. So if both normal parent are there, means if there is a small a condition in the parent, then this cannot give a offspring of a capital A or capital A small a type. They will be going to give rise to the small a type. So if both parents are unaffected and child is also getting unaffected, then it is a particularly the chances of what particularly if there is a particularly unaffected parent are then if we can say this is the what small normal unaffected parent and here it will get a normal only. Okay. If in this if we get a affected offspring, then it is the chances of what particularly we can say another one. But in this both affected parent are there, then this both affected parent have normal child. Suppose if there is capital A small a and crossing with the capital A small a, both are affected, heterozygous condition. But if from this both small a goes, then if it is small a coming, then it is a what? A normal child. So this possibility can be there in autosomal dominant. But if it is autosomal recessive, then what are the possibilities? Let's discuss. In autosomal recessive, you will see that the small a is showing a what? A deceased or affected individual. And capital A and capital A small a are normal unaffected individual. Now in autosomal recessive, if you see, you will see that it can skip generations. Means here possibility is that both normal parents have affected child. So if you get that both parents are undarkened but the offspring is darkened, then there is a possibility is that it is autosomal recessive. But both affected parent can never have normal child. Now in this case, what will happen? Both affected parents, suppose both affected parent then can have affected child. So both affected parent, then we write a small. Sorry, here it is as both normal parent. I'm removing this, and we are drawing a both normal parent. Sorry, they are undarkened means unaffected. Now I am taking it as a unaffected. Unaffected are in a capital or a capital A condition. I am writing capital A small. So if small a goes from this, then there is a chances that it get give rise to the smallest. So the normal parent have affected of, but both affected parent, if both are affected parent, then means they have a genotype small. Then in the offspring you are going to get small a only. You will not get a capital A or capital A small a. So this is affected individual. So means both affected parent can never have a normal child. And this is the genotype of a particular representation of genes as a capital A, capital A, small a, not as a recessive condition. Now, if it is sex-linked disorder condition, and in that also it is X-linked inheritance, then this show crisscross inheritance. Crisscross inheritance means passing of a particular character from father to the daughter, then to the son, okay, or from mother to the son to the grandson, granddaughter. Okay, like this, if the particular transmission of character is occurring, then it is known as crisscross inheritance. So we will see this. And Y-linked, if it is, then Y-linked are the Hollandric genes. Hollandric character means they are the Y-linked character, and they pass from male to male, means grandfather to son to grandson. Okay, like this, if transposition is occurring, then it is a Y-linked. Okay, so this is the such just explanation of this. Now, but in X-linked condition also there can be a what dominant or recessive. In X-linked also they can be dominant or recessive. So if it is X-linked dominant trait or dominant disorder, then it generally do not skip generation. And here affected father will always have all affected daughter. Then it is X-linked dominant. But if it is X-linked recessive, then it can skip generation. And in this condition, the affected mother will always have all affected son. Okay. So now in X-linked dominant condition, if it is X capital C, then it is affected female. If it is X capital C, X small c, then it is affected female because it is a triangle. But if X small c, then it is a normal female. And if it X capital CY, then it is affected male. And if it is X small cy, then it is unaffected male. But in case of X-linked recessive, if you see, if X small c, then it is affected female. If it is X small c y, then it is affected male. But if it is X small c X, then it is carrier female. Such inheritance can occur in case of the X-linked recessive. Okay, so this is the what particularly we can see in the particular traits. So now by taking a question, we can discuss this. So we are taking a question. In a pedigree given below, indicate whether the shaded symbol indicate dominant or recessive allele. We need to show which one, while it is representing dominant or recessive allele, that we need to understand. Also give genotype of the whole pedigree. We have to give the genotype of pedigree. Now, by seeing this, we need to predict that the affected individual are either in a recessive condition or dominant condition, that we need to understand. So here you can say the in the first generation, if you see, there is an affected father and having all affected daughters as well as son, or we can say affected parent have affected offspring. Here also having the affected parent have affected offspring. If there is an unaffected parent have affected offspring, then it is a chances of what, recessive. So according to the general knowledge which we have discussed till now, we can see that here affected parent having affected offspring, but here unaffected parent do not have affected offspring, then or unaffected parent are not shown here, then it is mostly chances of a dominant trait. So first we discuss autosomal dominant. Okay, so it is chances of autosomal dominant, but we first discuss autosomal recessive, then we will discuss the autosomal dominant. If I take it as a recessive, smallest small, and it is a capital A or capital A small, because it is unaffected. So here, if I want to get smallest small, then it can be recessive. And to get smallest small, here this small a from this offspring and small a from this offspring, this parent will come. So it is not going to be capital A. But here, if it is a smallest small, and I want to bring it as a smallest small here, then it should be capital A small. And if capital A comes from here and small a comes from here, then it is going to be capital A small. Then it is also following. Here, if it is smallest small, and I want to bring it smallest small, then it need to be capital A small. If it is capital A small, capital A will come from here. Okay, small a will come from here, small a will come from here, and it will be small a small. But in third offspring, if we need a capital A small a, then also it can be unaffected. Capital A comes from this side and small a comes from this parent, female parent, then it will be possible. Same happens in fifth offspring also, capital A small a, where capital A comes from the father, and the small a from the mother. And this way, this particularly is satisfying the recessive condition as well. This is the condition also. Now let's discuss, either it is possible that it is explaining the dominant trait, it is explaining the recessive, no problem. But if it is possible that it is expressing the dominant trait, let's discuss. First, we will remove this. Now, if it is autosomal dominant, then all affected offspring are going to be capital A or capital A small. Means the unaffected offspring, that is undarkened part, are going to be smallest. So first write all the particular offspring undarkened has a smallest. Now if it is a smallest a, then it is either capital A or capital A small. Now to remain it as a darken, it need to be what? Capital A should come from here, and small a is going to be coming from the female parent, so it is going to be capital A small a, capital A small a, capital A small a, and capital A small a. Now in the offspring of this, smallest small a is given here and capital small a is given. Smallest small a can come from this particular both the parent, but for this capital A will come from father and small a from the mother. And here if you see, it is showing what? Female. So here small a capital A will come from mother and small a will come from the father. So it is going to be capital A small a, and same happens in the case of this. So it is also following the dominant. So this particular pedigree represent or should confirm both the recessive as well as dominant trait. So this pedigree is possible to inherit both autosomal dominant and recessive trait, where we have also shown the genotype which are possible in the offspring. Now, after this, they are going to discuss another question where it is saying that study the given pedigree chart and answer the questions that follows. So next question we are going to discuss, that is the study the given pedigree chart and the given the answer questions that follow. Answer the questions that follow. And we have to identify that either this trait is autosomal recessive or not, and we have to genotype the number 1 and 4. Okay, that we need to answer the genotype of this particular offspring. So if you want to understand the autosomal recessive, then what is the possibility? Then in small a there is going to be affected individual, and capital A, small a are going to be unaffected. So if you want to understand like this, then the affected individual, if we write small a, then to get this small a, one small a should be present in the father and one small a should be present in the mother. Then only possible that the offspring get a both small a. So here it should be heterozygous condition, then only unaffected offspring and carrying a single allele, recessive allele is possible. And if both this recessive allele from both the father and mother parent are getting inherited, then the offspring, this offspring are possible. Now other remaining offspring are going to be heterozygous. Okay. Now here also, if we want to inherit this particular character small a, then there should be presence of one, at least one small a in both the parent, and it is possible. So it is that. But to unaffected, identify this unaffected offspring, that to get, you will get either small a from this offspring and capital A from the another offspring, or you can get a capital A from the both offspring. So it is possible capital A or capital A small. Here also there is a chance of capital A or capital A small. Here this capital A is not possible here. Here capital small a is going to be there. Here capital A small a, then only this can be affected offspring. Okay, so here also you will get a capital A small a, and here capital A or capital A small a is possible. So it is true. And here the third and fourth, first and fourth offspring, if you see, which are shown here, that first offspring is having a genotype capital A small a, and fourth offspring having a genotype that is small a. So such a way you can solve this particular type of question. Okay. So I hope you understood how this pedigree are getting inherited, how what type of option you can get, what type of question you get, that we have understood. Now, but mostly I will be giving you 3 tricks by understanding that by asking this 3 type of question to the any pedigree, you will get a answer mostly. So there are some tricks which can be applied to solve this type of pedigree. First trick is see the pedigree and ask a question that if both male and female are affected, then it is going to be, if you get answer yes, then it is going to be autosoma. If you are getting answer no, then it is going to be sex linked. Mostly you will get answer 99% this tricks will be useful, but this tricks will give you that which option we need to check by a typical method. Okay, that it will help. Second, if unaffected parent have affected offspring, if you ask this type of question, you will get answer yes or no. If you get answer yes, then this is going to be a recessive trait, and if it is no, then it is going to be dominant trait. In X-linked also, it can be Y-linked or X-linked. So if trait or disorder get inherited directly from father to son, for this type of question, if you get answer yes, then it is Y-linked. If no, then it is X-linked. So by asking this three type of question, easily you can understand that what a particular pedigree is going to show, which type of disorder it is getting inherited, and this will help you to solve majority of the pedigree. Okay, so I hope you have understood. Now solve the several questions, and that will help you to understand this properly. Now after studying this pedigree analysis, now we are going to discuss some of the population genetics, and to understand this population genetics, we have to study whole population, and then we can answer this type of question. So here what we are going to do in population genetics, we are going to study or genetic study, we are going to do genetic study or genetical study at population level, and it involves study of nature, inheritance, and frequency of gene or allele. So this way the population genetics can be studied. So first we want to understand one term, that is gene frequency. What is gene frequency? Means how much percent this particular gene is present. So it is talking, gene frequency talks about a proportion of any gene or allele out of total allele. Out of total allele of that character. This gene frequency is talking about what? Proportion of any gene or allele out of the total allele of that particular character. So this will help to understand what is the frequency of that particular gene. So if we study large population, if we study a large population, we can use this gene frequency to identify the frequency of that particular gene. And this gene frequency, if we talk, to study this gene frequency, the Hardy-Weinberg law is applicable. Now, how this is used, that we need to understand. So let's understand that. So if we talk about in large randomly emitting population, in large randomly meeting population, frequency of any gene or allele remain constant generation after generation. When selection of gene, mutation, and migration do not occur or are negligible. If this mutation or a change in the gene are negligible or which is not going to occur, then it is known as this particular frequency remains constant. So to represent that frequency, Hardy Weinberg taken some or derived some formulas where he represented small p as a frequency of dominant allele. Out of 100% of allele, if two alleles are there and if two alleles are total frequency going to be 1 or 100%, then what is the proportion of each particular allele? And the Q represent frequency of recessive allele. So if you want to understand this, the frequency of dominant allele and frequency of recessive allele is going to be 1. So in this both case, P plus Q is equal to going to 1. It is going to 100%. Okay. Now, so if you want to identify a P, you can write it as a frequency of dominant allele. If you want to identify, if you know the frequency of recessive allele, you can identify by 1 minus Q. Or if you want to identify the frequency of recessive allele, you can identify by 1 by P. Yes or no? But P plus Q is equal to going to 1. Now if I make a square of this P plus Q, okay, P plus Q square if make, then it is going to be 1 square because it is 1 equal to 1. Now if I elaborate P plus Q square, then it is going to P square plus 2PQ plus Q square is equal to 1. Now here this P square represent frequency of homozygous dominant organism. And this 2PQ is going to be a frequency of heterozygous organism or individual. And this Q square represent a frequency of homozygous recessive organism. So this way, you know that we know that for tallness there is a two alleles, capital T and small t. And in these three types of genotype are possible: capital T, capital T, capital T, small t, capital T, small t, and small t, small t. If I write capital T as a capital T square, it is a dominant allele. So this capital T is equal to what? P square. Now capital T small t like of genotype individual are obtained 2 in F2 generation. So I am writing 2 capital T small t or 2PQ. And if Q square then means the recessive is small t, one individual is there, so Q square can help us to identify the frequency of a recessive. And that almost going to be equal to 1. So This way, it will help us to calculate some of the questions. So this way, you can identify the frequency of a particular allele, that is a dominant allele or recessive allele. So by solving some of the questions, we will get a clear picture. So let's solve one question. The question is saying that if the frequency of recessive allele the frequency of recessive allele of a character is 0.2 in a population, then find out percentage of number one, homozygous dominant individual. Second, heterozygous individual or heterozygous organism. And third, organism with recessive character. If you want to identify, you know that the frequency of recessive allele is 2. So given is what? Q, that is 0.2. So if you want to identify a homozygous dominant individual, the frequency of homozygous dominant individual, then P plus Q is equal to 1, and here Q is equal to 2. So P is equal to 1 minus 0.2, so it is going to be 0.8. So this is P. Now P is 0.8. So if I want to identify individually, if I want to identify frequency of just a P allele or recessive allele, dominant allele, then P is equal to 0.8. That is the correct answer. But I want to identify the individuals, and each individual have at least 2 alleles, either in a homozygous condition or heterozygous condition. But if I am asking about homozygous condition, it is going to be P square. So 0.8 into 0.8, it is going to be 0.64. So it is the frequency of individual allele in individual. For heterozygous individual, it is 2pq. So it is 2 into 0.8 into 0.2. So 8 to the 16, 16 to the 32. So it is going to be 0.32. So it is going to be 32% individuals are heterozygous individual. Here 64% are homozygous dominant individual. Organism with recessive character. So it is going to be Q square. So it is going to be 0.2 into 0.2. So it is going to be 0.04. So it is going to be 4%. So 4% individual are recessive, homozygous recessive, 64% are homozygous dominant, and 32% are the, we can say, heterozygous individual. So 32 plus 4, it is going to be 36. 36 plus 64. Okay, that is going to be what? 100. So total 100% is getting established. Okay, so out of 100% individuals, these are the individuals we can identify. Same way, if we carry out another question, is if 70% allele of character are recessive in a population. Then find out percentage of homozygous individual in a population and organism with dominant trait. So to solve this question, the frequency of or 70% allele means 30% is dominant, 70% is recessive. Means frequency of recessive alleles is 0.7. So the P is going to be 0.3 itself. Now we know that P square is going to be the what homozygous dominant and 2PQ is going to be what we can say heterozygous individual. Now we have to find out the percentage of homozygous individual and the organism with the dominant. Now homozygous individual are what? Both. Homozygous individual are both. That is which one? Recessive as well as dominant. So if we want to identify a dominant trait, so here if we want to identify a homozygous dominant, then individual will be expressed by P square, and the homozygous recessive individual, then it is Q square. So P is what? 0.3. So it is going to be 0.3 square plus 0.7 square. 0.3 square is going to be what? 0.09 plus 7 square is 0.49. So now it is going to be 0.58. So it is going to be 58% progenies are which one? We can say homozygous. But another question is organism with the dominant trait will be expressed as a P square and plus 2PQ, because in heterozygous condition also they are going to express the dominant trait. So P square is 0.3 square plus 2 into 0.3 into 0.7. So it is going to be 0.09 plus 7 3s are 21, 21 2s are 42. So it is going to be 0.42. So it is going to be 0.51. So this is going to be 51%. So homozygous dominant trait, if they are asking, then 51% progenies are of having a weight with the dominant trait. But if they are asking which one? Homozygous one or a particular homozygous individual, that can be recessive, it can be dominant. Both conditions we have to calculate. Okay, so I hope you have understood this particular thing, that how the Hardy-Weinberg law is applicable and how it will be helpful us to calculate the frequency of particular different alleles. Okay, so this is all about the population genetic and pedigree analysis. I hope you understood well. Thanks a lot. Thank you.